Whoa.
Deep Clue C. That's the precon you're here for. Ready? So we're going to add 10 cards. We're going to take 10 cards out like every other precon upgrade video of all time. Ready? So, I'm Howie.
I'm Levi.
Yeah, I'm gonna read the commander.
This is Northwest Magic
of the deck. Yeah, whatever. You already know what channel you're on, I hope. If you don't, come on.
Come on!
The commander is Morska, Undersea Sleuth. It costs Bant, which is blue, white, and green, for a legendary creature, Vidalcan Fish Detective, or like, maybe defective because it's not a merfolk. I've been waiting to say that joke all day. It's a 2/3.
It looks like a merfolk.
It does. It should be a merfolk. So, anyway, you have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. That means you create a clue token.
Jinkies.
It's an artifact with 2. Sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. I'm saying that in case you don't know what a clue is, obviously. When you draw your second card each turn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on this card. What you think, Levi?
Yeah, I think it can be pretty decent. There's some stuff in here to make him unblockable. Maybe if you find some stuff to give him some trample, stuff like that. I think it's icing on the cake, this +1/+1 thing, but the vanilla deck definitely values or has lots of value for like your second card drawn this turn. So it actually tends to go pretty wide when I found in playtesting. But him getting bigger is just nice. A nice blocker and a nice thing to just hit with commander damage.
Yeah. Put some pressure on the game, you know what I mean? Bant's kind of a cool color combo. It's some good colors, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like even more creature-focused Simic, which is kind of cool. You almost get the benefits of Simic with the supporting color that white is. So, It's a nice color combo.
You want to add your first card?
So I think a really awesome card that helps just immediately get that second card draw for the turn is Sylvan Library. She's a little pricey. She's a little pricey, but
this
at the beginning of your draw step, you draw 2 additional cards. So as soon as that happens, you've already drawn 3 cards technically, but you immediately get to put a +1/+1 counter on Morska, and then you get all the benefits of Sylvan Library. So let me tell you what this is for folks that don't know.
You can save your clues for later.
Yeah, you can just save your clues for later for another turn. Or somebody else's turn. Sylvan Library, it's just 1 and a green, easy. And then at the beginning of your draw step, you draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life, or put the card on top of your library. So you get to kind of mix and match. Oh, I want to get this one, or keep all 3. Who knows? But very, very solid, especially for this commander. Who cares about drawing cards?
Really good. So we're making a lot of clues. We're making some tokens, maybe some other tokens. We got some other stuff going on. So we're going to add Jaheira, Friend of the Forest. It's 2 and a green for a legendary creature, human, elf, druid. Tokens you control have tap to add green. That's not just creature tokens. That's any token you have. And it says choose a background, irrelevant information. It's a 2 out of 3.
It's a 2 out of 3.
This will ramp you all the time. Just with your commander, that's 1 ramp a turn. You don't need to sack your clues, but like you can. You know what I mean? And this helps pay for 1 of it. So that's awesome. They can sacrifice themselves. What?
They can tap themselves?
They can tap themselves
to
pay to sack themselves. Yeah, you guys, whatever, man. You get it, mana good.
You are very correct. And there aren't only just clues in this. You're going to be making maybe a little bit of treasure. There's also lots of different creature tokens that all benefit from
food.
This. And there's some food in here. Jaheira will almost very likely, unless you get her out pretty early, she'll refund her own cost, essentially, if you have quite a few clues out. So, yeah, she's a no-brainer in here. With that being said, with the tokens, with all this token talk, I want to talk about a couple token doublers. Both of these just fit the same role. I think Doubling Season and Mondrak Glory Dominus are really good includes for here. I'm just going to put them both in the same category. Doubling Season will also double your counters that are put on things. So that's why I chose that. There is a more budget option as well. Primal Vigor. You could do that, but that is a world enchantment. So just keep that in mind. And then Mondrak just doubles all your tokens created as well, but it's on a creature, and he can sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures for 1 and 2 Phyrexian white to make him indestructible. So he's got a little bit of built-in protection. There's lots of token doublers in these colors. You don't have to go for these in particular.
Just pick 2.
Just pick at least 2. I think it's really important, especially with the fact that he's giving you a clue token for free at your upkeep. A lot of times you're just going to be able to get 2, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Just to mention a couple of them, you got Parallel Lives and Anointed Procession as a couple, just in case you already had those and you didn't want to go and buy a Mondrak or a Dabbling Season. So I'm going to move on to Forensic Gadgeteer. This is in the main set of Murders at Karlov Manor. It's 2 and a white for a Vidalcan Artificer Detective. It's a 2 out of 3. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, investigate. There's not too many artifacts in this deck. Oh no. I don't know, there's like 10 or something.
Oh no.
I just closed my tab. I was gonna like pull up how many artifacts there are. There's 12 artifacts, so that's a fair amount, so you can investigate sometimes, but the more important part is artifact what? I can't read today, man. Activated abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce a mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. So it sort of, in a way, gives you the same effect as Jaheira, where you're...
Oh, there's actually 17 artifacts.
What?
Yeah, there's artifact creatures and everything, so that's even better.
Oh, man, you're right. That's like a fifth of the deck. Wow, I'm awful at this game, guys. So anyway, like, that's awesome. You can sack your clues for 1 less, which will get you a long way, especially if you have 2 clues and you're trying to sack them on your opponent's turn to help put 2 +1 counters on Morska and dig through your deck and stuff. And if for whatever reason you get both our upgrades, Jaheira and Forensic Gadgeteer on the field at once, each clue basically sacks itself for free. And that's sick.
That's sick.
Synergy.
And you can do that on your opponent's turns a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is some value.
If it's free, yeah, do whatever you want, man. Go crazy with it.
Another thing that we noticed about this deck is that there's actually, at least in the vanilla Precon, 0 counter spells.
I heard you say that before we made the video, but you're a liar. There's 1 and we're cutting it.
Oh, no, you're right. I had to cut it because it was so awful. More for that later. We'll talk about that one later.
Yeah.
So there is 1. There's like 37 lands in this deck. If we really wanted to make this like a cut 12, cut 11, perhaps, it might honestly be worth adding like 2, maybe 3 counter spells in here of any kind.
Yeah.
We have in our list an Offer You Can't Refuse, just because I think that's like one of the better ones. But, you know, Swan Song basically does the same thing.
Yeah, if you want more budget options, just go Counterspell and Negate. I think those are both less than $1.
Yeah, and they get the job done. If you have blue and you have this strategy is very telegraphed. So you're going to have a lot of clue tokens and a lot of creature tokens on your field, and your main man here, is going to be big. Your opponent's going to see all that. You're going to want some kind of protection in the form of like counter spells.
So we like drawn cards and we like tokens. So we added Sharukai, Genesis Engine. Oh, that's another artifact to count towards that other dude we added.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, legendary artifact, 2 white and a blue for an 8/8. It has 1 in tap, draw 2 cards, then discard a card, create a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this power. This creature crews vehicles as though its power were 2 or greater. Crew 8. It can be your commander. Don't do that here. Yeah, it's just honestly one of the best repeatable value engines that you can get. You get tokens, you draw 2 cards, and you discard cards. And sometimes discarding cards can be synergistic. Maybe not so much here, but yeah, it's sick. You should add it.
Mm-hmm. You could, that activates your commander already, especially if you do it on another person's turn.
Yeah, true.
Boom. It immediately activates that. And I alluded to this. There's quite a few cards in here that care about your second draw for the turn. I mean,
Hmm.
there's a Laundra, there's Detective of the Month, very good card in here. There's and there's even more after that. So
Tell me about another one.
you're gonna be drawing actually quite a few cards in this deck, believe it or not, because you got all these clue tokens, you got all these engines here. We decided to throw some Ominous Seas. This is also something that creates tokens. Ominous Seas is just a 1 and blue enchantment that whenever you draw a card, just period, whenever you draw, you put a foreshadow counter on Ominous Seas. This also works well with Doubling Season. Remove 8 foreshadow counters from Ominous Seas, and you create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token. I'd say that's some pretty good value. This is a good card, especially for more early game strats. You just throw this down, and it starts to really add up. You can remove these at like instant speed. Somebody
Yeah.
comes and attacks you, you can just be like, "Oh, I remove 8 counters and make an 8/8. Oh, your thing's dead now. Sorry."
Yeah. It
So you
can
didn't pay
avoid
attention
board wipes too in that way that you don't need to activate it until like the end step
when you
before
really
your
need it.
turn, and then you essentially have an 8/8 with haste. And
Effectively,
that's a
yeah.
lot of pressure.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
if you have Doubling Season or Glork Mondrak, you'll make 2 8/8s.
That's right.
Ain't that something special?
That's right. We're going to add Lavinia, Foil to Conspiracy. This is a brand new card from the Clue set. It's 1 and 2 hybrid Azorius, so you can pay either 2 white, 2 blue, or a white and a blue. It's a human detective, lots of detectives. It's a 2 out of 3 with Vigilance. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. It has tap to add colorless, activate only during an opponent's turn. So another thing that helps you sacrifice your clues. And it makes clues. Like, that's just straight up synergy. What else do you need?
Yeah, it just fits in like a glove here with this deck. Making
Yeah,
clues and sacking
that's right.
clues. Another thing that can make clues, at least, no, it
Liar.
can't. No, it can't.
Liar.
It makes treasures, which is honestly even better, to be real.
Or food.
Or food, if you
Ooh.
care about that. We have Tireless Provisioner. We have the other one. We have Tireless Tracker already, but I think
Yeah.
Provisioner just. If you're going to have Tracker, you might as well just have Provisioner. 2 and a green, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a food or treasure token. It's that simple.
Just that
It's that
simple.
simple.
That's all it does. Food gains you
Yeah.
life, treasure gets you mana. That's all you need.
Yeah. And since this is a token strat, we already talked about this. We have token doublers. The treasure will just help you ramp even faster. And this is just such an insane card. It goes in almost any deck with green. Like, it just does.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have to be a landfall strategy deck for this to be so incredibly powerful. That's all the ads, Howie.
I wanted to add like 2 honorable mentions just in case, because your commander's going to get really big. I kind of recommend Herald of Secret Streams and Kodama of the whatever the one from Kamigawa is called, Neon Dynasty, West Tree,
I
East
believe
Tree.
that's the. Oh God, I'll put
The
it.
one that
I'll
gives
put it
whatever.
up. I
It's
don't
up
remember.
there. The one that gives your modified creatures trample, because then it makes your commander evasive. Herald of Secret Streams makes him unblockable. Yeah, you just don't want your commander to get too chumped. Anyway, I just wanted to add those in there. So,
That's a good. That's a really good piece of advice.
we told you to add 1 to 3 counter spells depending on whatever you do. If you want to make this a 10 or a 12 cut
Yeah.
upgrade video. So we cut Confirm Suspicions out of the deck because it's a 5 mana counter spell. You do counter any spell, it's at instant speed. You investigate 3 times. Now, those 3 clues might sound really appealing to you, but not at 5 mana. You want to be keeping up your mana so that you can sacrifice your clues. It's just, in practice, it is not good. On paper, you see that word investigate, those words investigate 3 times. That sounds awesome. It's not.
You're like,
Trust
whoa.
me, you're going to be doing it enough already.
Yeah, and plus you're almost never going to have 5 mana to just.
No, because
Leave
you
up
want to be
in
dumping
hopes.
out the mana on your turn, like almost all the time.
Yeah,
And like I
maybe
said, if you're
leaving up
keeping up
some
mana, it's to sack clues.
for. Yeah, exactly. You're just doing it to sack clues. You don't care about that. So you want to go with more cheaper counterspells. Yeah, another one that I thought was just bad was Magnifying Glass. Not only is it a 3-mana rock that taps for colorless, but it has the audacity to charge you 4 mana plus tapping it itself. So essentially 5 mana to investigate one time. Once.
If I won't pay 5
That's
mana
disgusting.
to investigate 3 times, I surely won't do it
For
to
once.
investigate once. No, that ain't it.
It's hideous. We don't like that.
Hey man, we got some synergy with that detective we added, the global forensic gadgeteer.
Mm-hmm.
So it only costs 3 and tap to invest. Don't. It's
don't.
terrible. Get rid of it.
Yeah, not good. It's just not a good rate. You're not going to find yourself wanting that in your deck, ever wanting to play it or use it.
It's true. A different one that we cut, and I kind of hate that we're cutting it because I love this card. Do you know what it is, Levi? It's Essex.
Exit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Fractal Bloom.
Like,
this card is actually sick.
It goes hard.
But I will tell you why you should take it out of the deck. It's 4 green, blue, legendary Fractal, flying, 4 out of 4. The first time you create one or more tokens during each of your turns, you may instead choose a creature other than Essex and create that many tokens that are copies of that creature. That sounds awesome, right? It is in other decks. In this deck, you want the clues. For 1, you don't want to be turning your clues into other things, trust me. And for 2, I think over half the creatures in this deck, especially after our upgrades, are legendary.
So many of them are legendary.
So you really won't be making clones. This card is sick elsewhere. If you get this deck, put that card aside and either make it a commander or put it somewhere else, because this card's fantastic and it's fun. Not here. It's kind of anti-synergistic. Pains me to say it.
Another one that I thought was just kind of... It's fine, but it isn't doing much, is Graph Mole. It's 2 and a green
Awful.
for a mole beast. Whenever you sack a clue, you gain 3 life. That's cool and all, but it's really not that impactful.
If you are playing any card that just gains you life, take it out. There's no reason to just gain life. It's not helping you. I don't like gaining life, and I don't like being protective. Like, sometimes, if it's synergistic, that's cool. If you had a commander that did stuff whenever you gain life, yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, that'd be good.
There's nothing else. There's nothing in the deck that cares about gaining life. It's useless. It doesn't matter if you end up gaining, honestly, even 21 life or more off of this, because if somebody else is going to win, they're already putting that pressure on you. You're in a losing position. It doesn't matter how much life you gained. I promise.
He doesn't do much. He's cute, though.
Stupid mole. There's better moles in the set. We're going to take out Fumigate. It's a board wipe. It costs 3 white. That's 5 mana for a board wipe. Whew. Destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. We just talked about gaining life. Unnecessary. This deck really wants to commit to the board, so you really don't want to board wipe unless you absolutely have to. We did keep 2 board wipes in the deck, one of them being Farewell, one of the best board wipes in the game. It's 6 mana, but it has, you pick whatever you want. That's way better than this. And it exiles, so that card's sick. We don't need 3 board wipes. We brought it down to 2. Got rid of this one. Cut it.
The other one has Improvise, and it destroys all non-artifact creatures. So it's a little more narrow, but I think it's it'll keep a lot of your artifact creatures on the field still. So yeah,
the cool part about that is that like your clues can pay for that Improvise. Yeah. So like you can board wipe and then immediately start rebuilding your board before your opponents can.
Yeah, you're in a better position than if you just casted Fumigate.
Yeah,
easily. And you have no artifact creatures or normal creatures. So
what else?
That one got cut. Another one that I see in other ones, I think this came in the Adrix and Nev deck. Hornet Queen.
Yeah, that's not where it was originally printed. This card's old, but it was in that deck.
Yeah, it was in that deck also. It's 4 green. 7 mana.
Hefty.
For all it does, I mean, it's okay. It's a 2/2 with flying and death touch, and then it makes 4 1/1s. Yes, it's 5 bodies with all death touch. It's kind of just it's a really expensive, terrible wall for you. You're not going to be attacking with them. They're mostly a defensive thing. It's like, don't attack me. I got these things.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything with clues.
Being defensive, we're not a pillow fort deck. We don't need a defensive wall.
For
The
7 mana.
You're taking a turn off to play this, and oftentimes this will probably be a dead card in your hand for. You probably ain't
A
getting 7 mana
while.
earlier than turn 5, and maybe even up to turn 7, depending on how you draw your mana. It ain't it. Innocuous Researcher is the worst card of the year 2024. Catch us in 11 months, whatever, 10
Yeah,
months, and talk about how bad this card is. It's a Centaur Detective. It's a 3 out of 4. Parlay, neat mechanic. Whenever it attacks, so you have to wait a turn to do this stuff. Each player reveals the top card of their library for each non-land card revealed this way. You investigate, then each player draws a card. We don't want our opponents to be drawing cards. No, I don't care if you investigate 3 or 4 times off this. Again, the investment ain't there, because at the beginning of your end step, you may untap all lands you control. Sounds sick, right? No. If you do, you can't cast spells until your next turn. No spells. Now, that does kind of work a little bit in this deck because there's only 3 instances, I believe, but and you can still pay for the clues. But that's why we added other things. We added Jaheira, Forensic Gadgeteer, and Lavinia. We can cut this. It's not worth it. Promise. If your commander had an activated ability in green, that might be pretty cool. I don't know what commander you're running, but let me know in the comments.
Sophia Dogged Detective, which I believe is the secondary commander.
Correct.
For this. Which you'd think, a lot of the times the second ones tend to be better, but I don't really think this one fits even slightly for what comes in the vanilla package.
No.
It's 1 in a Bant, and when she enters, you create Tiny, a legendary 2/2 green dog detective creature token with trample. That's cool. And then for 1, sacrifice an artifact token. Can be anything. Put a +1 counter on each dog you control. That sounds cool. There's no dogs in this deck, by the way.
I don't think there's any dogs.
I don't think there's a single one. Whenever a dog you control deals combat damage to a player, you create a food token, then investigate. So it has to deal that damage, and then you'll make a food and a clue. So it's not horrible, but it does not belong in this deck at all.
I think it's neat, but it's definitely built around, and it's
you need to have dogs.
There's only one line of text on here that kind of synergizes with it. You don't just want to be putting +1 counters on your one dog. It ain't it. Your legendary dog.
Yeah, your one legendary dog, Tiny.
Yeah, that ain't it. I like the card, not here. Parlay kind of sucks, huh?
Yeah, let's shit on it some more.
Selvala Explorer Returned is 1 green and a white. Now I've seen some Selvala decks that kind of wrecked, honestly.
Oh yeah.
If it's the commander, but here it ain't it. Again, legendary creature, Elf Scout, 2 out of 4. Parlay tap. So you still have to wait a turn to do it. Each player reveals the top card of their library for each non-land card revealed this way. You add green and gain a life. Then each player draws a card. It's maybe ramp. It is instant speed, so it can help your clues. But we traded this card out for other stuff, and then I don't want other people drawing cards. You don't want to be helping other people here. That ain't it.
Yeah, if Savala's the commander, the deck is kind of catered around being able to outpace your opponents. Even though you're giving them cards, this extra green mana and the other cards involved, you don't have to care that much about it because you're outpacing them. I too have been bodied by Savala. We've got one more, which it's kind of funny. This one fits a little bit with the theme of the deck, but I wanted to take it out because of one glaring issue. Nadir Kraken, it's 1 blue for a creature. Kraken. Whenever you draw a card, you may pay 1. You put a +1/+1 counter on Nadir Kraken, and you create a blue 1/1 tentacle creature token. This isn't horrible, but a lot of the times you'll find that you don't actually want to be paying that 1. That 1 is sometimes the difference between getting a tentacle or being able to cast something bigger. Or like a doubling season.
That mana goes towards your clues.
Yeah.
And you surely ain't gonna be sacking a clue and then paying 1 to make a.
Just a little
It
1/1.
ain't it. It's kind of go wide. It's kind of go tall. It's kind of cool. We're cutting a lot of kind of cool cards, but it ain't it, guys. It ain't it.
Yeah, I think Nadir Kraken kind of just gets outpaced by Ominous Seas, or not paced, but like out overshadowed.
I'd rather make 8/8s than 1/1s
Yeah, I'd rather just
that
do
I don't have
that.
to pay extra mana for.
You don't have to pay anything for them, and you don't have to use them until you really truly need to. That is just our 10 adds and 10 cuts. If I were
Or
building
so.
this deck from scratch, me personally, I actually would use maybe 20% of what's in the precon.
A lot of the precon seems like it's just like, look at these sick reprints we put in here, guys. We got Chulane, we got Coma, we got Farewell. Like, there are some sick reprints in here. This might be the most
Yeah.
value reprints ever in any precon.
And
I'm
it's
not
funny
sure.
because Coma, like, I love that Coma's in here, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't really.
It doesn't
He
really
doesn't
do
really
anything with
do
your
anything.
commander.
He
It's kind
doesn't.
of a token deck, but like, you don't like.
Yeah.
It says something that this thing that has
Shiver
nothing to
Dragon.
do with your deck is not in our 10 cuts because the card is so good.
Overall, Morska, Undersea, Sleuth.
Every time you say its
ain't-
name, I don't feel like it's real. It's a weird name. It really is a defective fish.
He's a fan. He really is a defective fish.
Thanks
Anyway,
for watching us. Like, comment, subscribe. You could be our first patron if you wanted to. Get a shout out. That'd be sick, bro.
Yeah. We'll shout you out.
Peace.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. I love you. I love you so much.
Stop talking.
Mwah.